Good morning, or good day, or ana, or however you want to say greetings to somebody. Just welcome to African Americans Ain't Africans, the Think Show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so called African American didn't find their way to America in the trunk of a ship. I'm your host, the Indigenous One. The reason they labeled you black was to disconnect you from the environment. Now, today I'm going to make this abundant. If you have to get this, because many of my students are younger students, 30 and below, and they get it. Once you start getting to 40 years old, you're going to be stuck in your ways and you're going to keep following the path that you were set on by these colonizers. And one of the things about the African American and black, because they really don't know anything. And since they don't know anything, they'll argue to try to get you off to seeing that they don't know anything. But I just want to share some things with you that the younger people are going to have to be aware of. And the reason that they came up with all these terms was to disconnect you from the land. And you'll see for a lot of people, there's no going back. It ain't happening. So this image that you see, when the images that you see when you go to the churches in Europe and you look at their ceilings, that's how they used to communicate to the world. That's how they saw the world. So if you look at those images, you'll see you, the people that are listening. I'm saying you because you are these people that you see right here. You are their replacements. I know you think you're black. I know you think you're African American. I know you think you're Hebrew Israelite. I'm saying you're not. You're these people right here. What goes around comes around. Every day should remind you of that. But again, we're disconnected. We're disconnected from the environment. And we just keep repeating and doing what we're told every day. Why don't even think about it? This is the reality. Listen, I'm putting the link to the chat in. If somebody can explain or point out where I'm telling y'all some bullshit, come on up and explain it. And explain how you got to that point, how you got to your conclusion. Because I'm telling you the stuff that's real. If you can't see it, okay, but there's the exit. But many of y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Exactly what I'm talking about. So the link to the chat is in the chat. Come on up. We want to hear from you. So these people that you see on this map, and this map, Norbit, I've shared it many times. Norvis just put up America, first maps of America. You'll see it. And again, know these words and know these terms, know how they're set up, know how these words are crafted, because the words are used against you. When you take those same words and use them against yourself, it's the people that gave them to you don't even have to waste that energy doing that no more, because you've taken it over and you've made it stronger, making the spell that you put yourself under harder to get out of. You never learn. You never get back to these people right here. These ladies that you see on this map, these are your sisters walking around the hood every day with kids, which is you. But it made you. I talk to young brothers, kids. They can't stand kids. Dude, weren't you a kid at one time? Yeah. So what if everybody felt about you the way you feel about kids? You see how you erase yourself? Now that's the action. The word is black. What does black mean? What I just explained. Redact it, cover it up, keep it hidden. That's what you're saying about yourself when you call yourself black, isn't it? Don't say you don't understand, because I know damn well you do. This is what you teach your children to do. You think these people that you see on the map, they introduce themselves as black? Or one of you Hotep Hebrew Israelites to step up and explain it. You think they introduce themselves as African American? These are your folks. I'm talking about the people who know. You can look at people and tell where they come from. You can look at, you go down to South America, you're going to see yourself. Same people, same continent. They try to tell you that there's 7 continents. Nobody said, everybody teaches themselves that. How is America's one continent? Where does it split? Where does it become two? And the islands, all the islands around, you go to Europe, you got hundreds of islands. They don't say they're not part of Europe. They're part of Europe. They didn't screw black people's mind up so much. Those islands are part of America. Those are your folks. They check out that rift. Check out the dumb shit that on all sides say. What? You can't survive without the other. Isn't this what history is telling you? The people on the islands are the same people here. Same people in South America, huh? But since you speak Portuguese, since you speak Spanish, since you speak English, you all messed up. All messed up. And will support wherever you are, will support those ideologies. So I don't know about the Caribbean talk. Yeah, yeah, I do. The Caribbean, they on that church shit horribly. Here in America too. Where's these people's? Where's your ancestors' spiritual ideology? Those people had to have that there was a greater power, don't you think? They not homeless. They not pushing baskets down the street. They're not in the middle of the street. You know those people you see in the middle of the street, they try to give you that little piece of paper to whatever it is. That's how we have ourselves now. When these are your people, these are you. These people you see on the screen, that's you. All you are is your mother's replacement, your father's replacement. They replace their parents. They replace their parents. They replace their. This is you. But you don't say it's not. You say it's not. You say I'm black. You say I'm Indian. How did these people refer to themselves? Earth, Wind, and Fire told you it was written in the stone, and it is. You drive by it every day and ignore it. Trying to get to Atlanta. trying to get to Birmingham, trying to get to Memphis. All those names that are not British, European names, you ignore. You're ignoring yourself. You're blacking yourself out. You're redacting yourselves. That's, you get it? Because most people won't understand what I'm saying. This is how you're blacked out. This is why they have you call yourself black. You'll notice that there's no date. When they talk about the Americas, the Americans, Americas, you'll notice that there's no date on the history of when these people started. And if they told you, they lying, because how would you know when you weren't here? These people were here. You were here. Yeah, you, the ones who are listening, you were here, but you don't know because your perception of time is what they say. They tell you New Year's is in the dead of winter. You celebrate New Year's in the dead of winter, don't you? I'm sure not everybody does. I'm pretty sure that when time of renewal is first day of spring, around springtime, everything becomes renewed again. The winter, when everything is dead, all the leaves are off. That's your first indication. Most people don't even pay attention to the trees. Most people don't even look up above their heads, right? Then don't want to talk about it when the thought is brought up. That's the best time they can learn. But what you call Black and African Americans, they're not into learning. They're into doing what they're told. They tell you these 1800s, 1700s, 1492, those are just numbers that are thrown out. Because you got the so-called woke people, and that always puzzled me. How you woke, but you still call yourself black? Explain it. How are you woke, but you still call yourself black? Young Cherokee Peasy said they have so much pride in ignorance. That's not a good combination, young Cherokee. Pride and ignorance. That don't that don't that don't go together. Ah, so maybe that's what it is. That's why they're just chasing their tails. You think you're something that you're not. So I saw this one time. This sister was wearing Black Queen on her t-shirt, and I noticed that the people who were walking towards her, when they got past her, they would laugh. They would like nudge each other and then point to her. And this is one of these sisters, I mean, made up, hair, all that, you know. And everybody was laughing because she got Black Queen on her t-shirt and she don't know what either word means. These are our women that are teaching us, males and females. First teacher's mama. We've seen or got out of that where you have all this arguing going on between the males and females. Huh? You're not here without each other. Now you reaping each other's eyelashes out to appease other people. Explain why. Explain why. And don't get me wrong. It just didn't start here. It's just not the people here. It's the people who are emulating their parents, their grandparents. Like I said, this is you that you see on the map. Where did they get to the point where the hatred just comes from? How did they turn these people against themselves? Come on, somebody got to, come on, somebody got to have an answer. Somebody got to know. How'd they turn these people against themselves? Make them, so you see the ladies over there. One of the ways is to make these ladies think that they came from the cat who's holding the umbrella over her head, to make her think that she came from his rib. Amen. What was the spiritual philosophies of these people? What did they think God was? What did they think the higher power was? What did they think the spirits were? What was their spiritual perception? When you ask Black people and African American people that question, because I mean, damn, it's a legitimate question. It's a more legitimate question than what time the game come on. When you ask African Americans, when you ask Black people, when you ask foundational Black Americans, because so foundational Black Americans say that's them. Really? Which one of those is named Tariq Nasheed? Which one of them has a Arabic name? You see how you're always done in just by not knowing nothing. This is being taught to your children, because you're going to be sat down in a minute, because you're learning new things and you're not going to be caught up in the matrix. So when you hear all these people talk about, I'm indigenous, ask them some simple questions. They should know at least about the land they live on, the plants, the animals. The people that you call African American and Black don't know nothing. Ask them. They know they're Black. Black is nothing. How do you call yourself something that you're not? And then teach your kids they're the same thing. Call your mama the same thing. Explain. And you wonder how people come from other places, come over here and pimp you like a hoe. That's how. I was just talking to a brother, and, and I was like, damn, I never thought of it like that. So this is why you talk to people who know things, because you'll know things. And from you knowing something, you'll know more, because you'll put your input into it. You'll put your bloodline, whatever your people taught. You're still these same people. These people's blood run through you. We say this, not us. We say we came over here pissing and shitting over here across the Atlantic Ocean. And we'll argue that point, and the point never makes sense. That's what I mean. African Americans and Black people and Hebrew Israelites and FBAs and all these names that you're given, they only do what they're told. If you don't get that, you'll never get it. Everything about you, you learn it from people outside of you. Everything you learn about you learn it not from these people, but from the people who came over and saw you and said, "Oh my God, they living like this?" And we over here throwing boo-boo out the window on the streets. Let's go over there and teach them a thing or two. And when they say you got a 4 point grade average, that means your intelligence is at fourth grade level. You do know that, don't you? So Enoch say, yeah, trying to get people away from that black shit is an uphill battle, but it's got to be done. Okay, so okay, see, this is what I mean. This is where you, so it's like ants passing. You ever notice when ants pass each other, they always touch antennas because I'm passing on information from where I'm coming from, all the people I came from, and you're passing on information where you come from. When we do that, we spark deeper understanding. This is how nature works, y'all. It works in all phases. I know we're not into it. I know we don't believe it. I know you're going to go talk to Jesus. I understand that. But this is how it's done. So the brother say, yeah, trying to, tell people I mean, and he right. He right. You talking to a black person, they say they black. You say, okay, well, look at your shoes. Put your shoes up to your skin. You're not black. Then you put a penny up to their skin, and the penny damn near disappears. And then you ask them to explain. Watch the dumb nigga look come across their face. Trained. So, Enots, what do you say where it won't be an uphill battle? What do you think the simplest way to be where it won't be an uphill battle? And before you answer, I'll give you mine. Dude, stop pushing. If the people will pick it up, people who's gonna hear it, they gonna hear it. The ones that are not, don't try to push nothing on them. No, I mean seriously, because you'll save yourself a lot, and I know you know that. You'll save yourself a lot of energy. Lot of energy. Just don't. Ask them to explain. If you're having a conversation with somebody, ask them to explain what they're bringing so you can understand it. Like you were a 5-year-old, explain it to me because 5-year-olds are pretty smart. Ask them to explain like you were a 5-year-old. When they can't explain it, but you can explain yourself to them where they get it and they still act like they don't get it, hey man, keep walking. Don't try to push nothing on them. Because like I'm saying, and you guys have to check out Neely Fuller for this and get in what he's saying. If you don't understand where you're at, you don't know, you don't think about it, you don't ask questions, you would think most people would ask questions older people questions. You'll notice there's a rift. It's not so much coming from the older generation, it's the younger generation, huh? So they rather listen to other forces that are going on, even if it's TV, radio, what they're learning from other cultures, whatever. They're not trying to learn from themselves. They're not trying to learn from their ancestors. They're not trying to learn from these people. Shit, they don't even know it's them. They won't don't even know that's them. So, like we were explaining the other day, pay attention because we're about to leave summer and we're about to go into fall. So everything is going to change. You should be doing things now, because winter's coming up. But always stay a step ahead of two of the upcoming seasons. Like winter's coming up now. You should be prepared for that. But you should also be prepared for when New Year comes, because New Year's coming. It ain't being stopped. Now, propaganda can be put out to where you think something is going on and it's not. Pay attention to the environment because you are connected to it. It works with you. But when you work against it, here's an example. So, one of the holidays that they play with in the winter is Christmas. Billions of trees are cut down for one day and then thrown in the trash can. That changes your whole environment. That changes the whole environment. We got Jam Master Jay joining us. Jam Master Jay, welcome to African Americans Ain't Africans. What's going on, brother?
Hi, Kerry. Hi, everybody.
Hey,
I
what's
was
going
trying.
on, dude?
I've been having glitches on the system, so bear with me, right? I tried to convey the text. I don't know if you saw it. Um, I try to get them to realize it's a trickery legal status. Um, if you notice that these identity schemes are, you know, their purpose is to serve those that actually want to keep you enslaved or control you with the paperwork. It's all about that. It's not about what's been presented to you, whether it be on mainstream, anything, education, whatever. It's strictly to control you. So I try to get them to realize that after they realize they're not that color or shade.
But do you see how using that term and answering to that term, and to me, basically the word is a trigger word. Do you see how that plays into, everyday life?
Yeah, it's definitely well, we've been programmed to receive it. You know through media and music and you know education. Um, yeah, I can see that. You're being programmed, but you know the old the meme you recently presented in the group where it says that you know you're not as a child you're not responsible for the programming that you received,
Right.
but as an adult you're 100% responsible for fixing it. That is very true because like I've conveyed numerous times, if you don't use the mind of your own, one will be given to you for them to use, and many times against yourself and others. So it goes hand in hand, you know.
Yo, let's check out what Dark Knight says because he has a question at the end. And those in the audience that's listening, we like your input too, because it's like we all know something, but when we put it together, the light grows brighter. But since we look at ourselves as black, the light never comes on. So let's check this out with Dark Knight. He says, my folks lived in the Virginia Eastern Shore for centuries. I'm not comfortable identifying as indigenous until I see proof. Censuses show my folks' status as B. Where do I find physical documented evidence? Where you find physical documents is the people who were so when you first started getting writings or hearing about writings in Virginia and about Virginia, what is said about the people there? So somebody came over here, and unlike they tell you, this place was populated all over the world. This map shows you that. When you go to places, other countries, they talk about the people here. They have drawings of what they saw. I mean, they have museums. Go to the museums. We do all this traveling and going places and don't step into the museums to bring back information here to share. Huh? You don't know?
Cat's
Yeah,
already out of the bag. You can find information in different um, documented books. Like I'm looking for the one that I like to go to a lot too, but the sources, while they still last. I mean, if you're looking strictly from the internet, you got to be very careful where you're drawing it from, because the internet can serve as a kind of like a book burning in a sense. So it makes sense. But the dead ringers, when you look through the genealogy records, you see the constant status changes. That's a dead ringer right there. You're going from Indian to Negro to black to colored and then black again and then Afro American, now
right,
African American.
right.
That's the dead ringer right there.
And so that's what I mean. You need physical documented evidence. You don't. You don't you have a memory? Aren't you connected to these people here? This is what I mean. We don't look at it like that. We're not into that. We're not into ourselves. We're into black. I mean, I hope I'm making sense because I mean it's really that simple.
No, I wanted to clarify why I said the dead ringer because there's no way you're going to make those switches, those kinds of alterations over and over again. It's a constant. That should already raise a red flag right away.
Right.
You
No, I,
cannot
I
be all
understand
those
exactly
things.
what you're saying.
Yeah, I just wanted for clarification. I'm still looking for this information so I can read it and
So
the
Dark Knight,
source.
why you look, go ahead and look for it. But I just want to say this to Dark Knight. I've been on Virginia Eastern Shore. It has to be one of the most beautiful places on earth. It is it is off the hook. And and that would be one of the boons for a lot of the indigenous people here is go to the place where you're from, where these people lived. What? And build it up. And what would you have?
Okay, I found it. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, this is from Samuel George Morton, MD, an inquiry into the distinctive characteristics of the Aboriginal race of America. This is from the Boston Society. Hold on, this thing went blank on me. Bear with me. Oh boy. Oh, give me a minute. Now,
While he's looking for that, I have a question. What is the plant that produces more oxygen than trees? We'll talk about that when Jay finishes his thing. What is the plant that produces more oxygen than trees? I try to give a short story about how Black was attached to us and leave it at that. It took about 4 years for me to reach this point. The truth made me hot, happy, and sad at the same time. The
okay,
truth
Carrie, I'm
made you
going to
hot.
try again.
Okay.
Hopefully, this thing won't go out on me because I got it on this other device. All right, I'm going to start from the beginning again. From Samuel George Morton, MD, an inquiry into the distinctive characteristics of the Aboriginal race of America, Boston Society of Natural History, April 27th, 1842. It is my chiefly intention to produce a few of the more strikingly characteristic traits of these people to sustain the position that all the American nations, excepting the Eskimo, are of one race, and that this race is peculiar and distinct from all others. All possess alike the long, lank black hair, the brown or cinnamon colored skin, the heavy brow, the dull and sleepy eye, the full and compressed lips, hold on, and the satiant but dilated nose. These traits, moreover, are equally common to the savage and civilized nations, whether they inhabit the margins of rivers and feed on fish, or roam the forests and subsist on the spoils of chase. It cannot be questioned that physical diversities do occur, equally and singular and inexplicable, as seen in different shades of color, varying from a fair tint to a complexion almost black, not black, almost black. And this too under circumstances in which climate can have little or no influence. Uh, hold on. So also in reference to stature, the differences are remarkable in entire tribes, which moreover are geographically proximate to each other. These facts, however, are more exceptions to a general rule and do not alter the peculiar physiognomy of the Indian, which is as endearingly characteristic as that of the Negro. But whether we see him in the athletic Carib or the stunted Chama or Kaima in the dark Californian or the fair Baroe, he is an Indian still and cannot be mistaken for a being of any other race. There you have it. You got that's one of many, but I think I just read that one.
So let me ask you something, Jay. I've read that before, and like you say, that's one of how come this isn't common knowledge? I mean, seriously, How come they aren't preaching this in the churches? Why aren't they teaching this in the schools?
What do you expect from colonists and their agenda? Of course, they're not going to teach that stuff. They're trying to, you know,
No,
make
no, I'm
you the
not. I'm not. Well, I know that, but aren't we filling up those schools? Aren't we getting what do you when you get a scholarship? None of these people are finding this stuff out.
yeah.
Nobody. Don't
I
we
hear
have
what
judges? Don't we have doctors? Don't we have all this that people chase and want to be?
so
And
that's
none
the
of them
problem.
know this.
That's
None
the
of them are
problem.
teaching this.
That's the problem right there. The ones that you
Everybody
think,
just want money to go buy somebody else's stuff because that's all Black people and African American do. Make money so they can go purchase something from other nations. Yes or no? If you say no, could you come up and explain how you came to that conclusion? DH Texas girl says cotton. So this is one thing, I think would work out for us better. If you don't control the market, Malcolm X said this one time. You find this on Malcolm X, and many of you know the exact speech because this was the speech that got many of you looking in another direction. If you don't control the housing, if you don't control the environment in which you live, it will eliminate the necessity of you and me having to act ignorantly and disgracefully, boycotting and picketing, trying to beg something from somebody else. Those aren't the exact words, but the same thing. You have a whole continent that you let people from other continents come over and pimp you like a hoe and got the nerve to argue with each other over it. And you know what I mean. This is why you're labeled black. This is why you're labeled nothing. And the
can
brother
I
just,
say something?
yeah,
You know what I noticed, Carrie? Um, when I'm listening to like certain podcasts, right, relating to whatever, right, and I notice a lot of Caucasians like to say, you know, try to put on the appearance. They actually come out and try to literally claim to be us in the way they speak. Now, when I was a little boy, I saw it was strange that someone of pale skin could be an Indian. I saw that as very bizarre, even at a very young age, you know? And it's interesting how they're claiming it and we're running from it like, you know, like it's not true that it's us. I mean, my father's from Trinidad. They refer to them as they used to refer to the islanders as West Indians. They don't say that for nothing.
right.
So, I found it very strange. There was a television series called F Troop. You remember it?
Yes.
The song even just tells you it's weird for a Caucasian to even talk like that. Where it says where pale skin and red skins all take a licking. There's words that say that, pale skin, because supposedly F Troop was about the cavalry and their
Right.
conflicts with the Indian. Even though they were using Caucasians to play Indian, they kind of darken the face a little bit, you know. You see in pale face types claiming to be Indian when they're not. So that should tell you right away that, you know, we've been played. But
Well, isn't that but couldn't that be and I'm just asking, because like you say, you giving information and it's making me think. Could it be the way they're getting in is because we claim that we're Greek, we
yes,
claim that we're Christians,
exactly,
we
exactly.
claim that we're Muslims, we claim that we're Africans, we're Hoteps, we're Hebrew Israelites, we're claiming all of these things. Does that make it easier for other people to claim to be
Yes,
you?
exactly. Yes. You got celebrities like, James Brown back in the day. Say it loud, and you say you're black. The celebrities were in on it. A lot of celebrities, a lot of educators, Pan Africans, they were in on it. European Negroes that were here, that are here, they were in on it too. So it ain't just the pale skin. There's people that are members of organizations that look like us, but they're not us, and they play against you. Their job is to oppose you. Secret society members, their job is literally to oppose you.
Yeah, so we go back to Enos, and he goes hot, as in mad, finding out that our own people did this. We're going to talk about that Enoch right now. Happy, as in finding out that America is our home and we built it. Sad, as in I can't wake up a lot of our folks. They want to stay in the matrix. And Enoch, I'm not trying to be an asshole or nothing like that. But if they want to stay there, man, let them. Seriously, because you have it, because the energy you have, you don't want to waste it on them. It's some other people who really want to know. I got young folks calling me every day, just asking me to explain certain things. I don't charge them. I just tell them, spread it. We're not. It's to be told, not sold. I mean, you would think we would get that by now. We don't. We don't. Listen to the OJs. They have a cut called For the Love of Money. It'll let you know what happened to us. So, going back to what you were saying, hot as in mad, finding out that our own people did this. Let's talk about that. What did our own people do? And was it our own people? Because remember, Europe and Africa is connected at the hip. You can walk to Europe from Africa. Just like you can walk from South America to Mexico to here, they're one thing. They're one continent. They had relationships with Africans way before they had relationships with these people that you see on this image right here. You don't think those are the same people? As a matter of fact, Africa is named after them, right? If you go into the Central African Republic and you go to down to those people there in their language, when you try to find out who they are, they're not going to tell you African. You're going to say that because that's what you're trained to say. Those people identify themselves by their own culture, their own ideology.
That makes sense because the older map, there was only a small portion of that landmass in the north referred to as Africa. Wasn't the whole landmass. So, yeah, trying to Africanize all melanated people around the globe was was the trick.
Yeah. So, like I'm saying, when other people can come and tell you who you are, is to take you out of your environment. It's kind of like when you go to the zoo, and when you're at the zoo, you look at the animals, they got this sad look in their eye. Why? Because they're taken out of their environment and put in a cage so people can walk around and look at. Not much different from the Black African American experience. Somebody takes you from where you were, all your ancestors are from, and put you in a cage and put a name on it that the person who locked you up say is the name for you. Look at those animals' eyes. It tells you they're not happy. When they're in their own environment, when they're on in habitat, they do things that you've never seen before. So this is what I mean. I don't know. No, we got to stop that. You don't know. You never know anything. You don't know. That has become an anthem, a cry. I know people 70 years old. You ask them a question, they don't know.
You know something,
Never took
Kelly? Sorry, go ahead.
never took the time to find out anything. So you can share with other people, especially your children, so they can share with other children and everybody can get some kind of knowledge. Do what you're told, what other people say. What do you say? Nothing. Black, that's nothing. It's blacking, that's black. You look at something, if you look at a sentence and it's blacked out, you don't nothing, it's nothing. You don't know what's under there. So that's my reason for the term black. That's why they call you black. You're not black. Obvious to that. People will overlook that and jump to it. And like the brother said, it took them 4 years. And that's quick compared to the masses. You can't look at yourself and tell I mean, you would think you can't look at yourself and tell you're not that.
You know, that's a vicious programming too, once that got took root. Because here it is, right? Any Listen, these characters, they operate off of the concept that what one creates, one controls.
Right.
So you have to be aware that the legal community engages in trickery. That's a legal status. Not only that, once you call yourself by what they create, they control the narrative and they control all of that. You are actually supporting white supremacy when you call yourself black because they need participants for that game to be played, and we're playing it by calling ourselves what they created. I know it's a horrible concept, but that's how they roll. They operate just like that. Matter of fact, all identities they create is that way. The identification game is a scam. You can't be confined to you know, these scams, you know, even something as simple as a name or anything on paper for that matter, you know. A lot of people are into their religion. They don't know that those texts are strictly for entertainment purposes, for those that want to control you. That's it. You want to be characters in those religious texts, they got you. You know, you're supposed to draw from within your higher self. So, spiritually speaking, we became stagnant, not developing spiritually, which is the most utmost importance. It really is. Even claiming to be first here is not enough. Developing spiritually is very important. But we get caught up in the religion, and the religion is nothing more than a psyops, a vicious one too. Personally, if you ask me, this is me just talking. So whoever listens, you know, it's my opinion, just so you know. I don't think all these races are from Earth. I think they're from other worlds because they act like it. They're originals worldwide. That piece from 1794, I posted it a number of times. You know it, Carrie. Dark Races of Men. When
Right.
you read that piece, they talk like they're aliens. They really do in that piece. So there are originals worldwide. It serves you no purpose to refer to yourself as African when you're here on the land of America. What good does that do you? Not to mention you don't even want to refer to yourself as African based on what Kerry just said. They didn't call themselves that. So you play the name game, you know, they got you. And they need the participants to make the game work. Is it the majority rules concept that they follow under? Yeah, they go by that majority rules concept. They operate like that. So if a majority of us are doing that, what do you expect?
For it to work like it's working. So listen, it's coming up on noon. I know everybody got to get their day started. Glad you guys spent this morning with us, but we just wanted to put out this information. So when you look at yourself as black, you're looking at yourself as nothing. Seriously, because black means nothing. It so like when you speak, when I'm sorry, let's go back a notch. So when you think, you have thoughts, you're formulating the thoughts in your head. You're forming the thoughts in your head. And you're coming up with the words. When you speak the words, when you the phrase becomes reality, it manifests into reality. So let's say you want to build a tree house for the kids. You have a thought in your head, how it's going to be. You speak it out, you go out and build it. That's normally how society works. You think it, you say it, and you do it. You think it, figure it out in your head. How I'm gonna get this boat out there to catch these fish, or how I'm gonna do this. You figure out a way to do it, and you do it. When you take yourself out of the equation, you won't even think it. So I bet some of these towns you go to, the towns that your grandmother and grandfathers are from, They still have the names of what the people call them. Now you're gonna have to dig digger because a lot of these places, the names are what other people it sounded like to other people. Let's take Mississippi, just an example. The people who the Mississippians, they probably said it another way that's different from how we say it, Mississippi. They probably said something else. Kind of like the people in the South talk, they have a way of speaking. Where else do they speak like that in the world? That should let you know right there. These are the same people that you see on the screen. They had a whole different way of communication. When one spoke, whoever was being spoken to listened, and vice versa. We have been broke down so much today that we don't even follow that simple rule. If you want to be heard, hear somebody else. These are simple concepts. Simple. You inhale, you exhale. Soon as a person says a word that you don't even know the meaning of, you jump in and just that's black. That's what the term signifies. That's what the term means. So I would simply say, find out where your folks are from. It ain't that hard. Matter of fact, you probably have telepathy and won't even use it. They're calling you, you're them. Same people. You're same people. But if you say you're not, if you think you're not, you're going to say you're not, and you're going to do nothing. So I'm going to close it here. Jay, any last words you want to give to the good folks listening?
Yeah, I like to say that work on yourself, do the work, and access your your higher your higher self. You have a higher and lower self. Work on on accessing the higher part of yourself because it's more than just what we're discussing here. Because a lot of us are suffering from what do you call that condition in the mental sciences or fields, PTSD, because of what was done to us. We suffer from that, and it does have an epigenetic effect on later generations where basically our own ancestors, some of us have come back and try your best to, you know, learn. Don't stop learning. That's our problem. A lot of people don't want to learn anymore. I know school has been, you know, somewhat boring and dramatic and, controlling, but now that those that are of age that are still not in school, you don't stop learning. So, you're gonna have to undo the damage that was done. Like that saying goes. You're not responsible as a child from the programming you received, but as an adult, you're 100% responsible for fixing it. That's all I have to say.
Well, brother, thank you. And I want to thank everybody that's in the audience listening. Please share this with friends or loved ones. And when you speak some sense because there's a lot of nonsense going on out there. And all that nonsense, all it does is cause confusion. You don't want to confuse nobody. Why? because you don't want to be confused. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll be back on later on in the day because we got another thing we want to share. So we'll talk to you later. Peace.